It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America. We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, so to show you how ridiculous it gets on social media, you ready for this? I don't know who runs this particular page, but it's called MAGA Nation. Okay,
all right.
So here we go. Here's what it says.
All right.
Now, this is always one of our favorites when we see stuff like this.
Yeah.
Wow. Elon Musk just backed Warren Buffett's bold idea to wipe out the deficit in minutes. Wow, sounds exciting, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah. What Warren Buffett says is just pass a law saying that if the deficit exceeds 3% of GDP, every sitting member of Congress becomes ineligible for re-election. Would you get behind this plan? 1,000% yes. Imagine how fast they'd balance the budget if their own jobs are on the line. No more endless spending. No more excuses. Accountability starts right there in Congress.
I'm sure they'd all vote, all 535.
To end their jobs.
To end their jobs.
Do people think before they post anymore?
If we could just do this.
Right.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Wow. Well, then we're geniuses. If we could just get everybody in this country to vote against any new taxes or additional spending, we'd solve the problem, Eric.
You know what it is?
We'd solve the problem. That's all we got to do. Get every person in this country to agree with us.
It's the tofurkey of ideas.
Right.
It'll taste just like turkey. Shut up. You don't know how it works.
But there's such fake excitement. Whoa! It's got more credibility because Elon Musk just backed Warren Buffett's bold idea to wipe out the deficit in minutes. Just pass a law saying the deficit exceeds 3% of GDP. Why 3%? If it's not balanced.
Right.
Pass a law saying that if every budget is not balanced, every sitting member of Congress becomes ineligible for re-election. That's the genius idea that I just came up with. I'm a genius. It's a bold idea to come up with the idea of have Congress vote on something that they could never do, so they'd all get fired, and so absolutely they would vote for it.
Yes. I
I
think it would work splendidly.
This is the part of being a talk radio host for as long as I've been. These are the things that irk me a little bit when you see this one, because you see this once a month. I'll see one of these. Wow, we never knew the solution was so easy. All we have to do is get Congress to vote on something that Congress would never vote on, because then they'd be held accountable. And if we can get them to admit that they want to be held held accountable for the actions and the voting that they take, and so they'll lose their jobs, we know they'll vote for it. It's so easy.
Hey, did you hear? David Blaine made the Statue of Liberty disappear on live television. It's gone. Now, Mamdani might make the Statue of Liberty disappear.
I did see those editorial cartoons. And the one showed the Statue of Liberty
removing it,
walking on water, heading south.
Yeah, right. There's a statue that Mamdani would like to tear down.
Oh, yeah.
Liberty? Are you kidding me? There will be none of that. Drink your vodka. Eat your bread.
All right, since you mention it, Politico, Hochul hails Mamdani's rise, then questions his biggest ideas.
Yeah, I know. I know. This is the way it was going for weeks before the election, and you had a number of them, a group, an entire chunk of the voter base that was going to vote and did vote for Mamdani was saying, oh, we like the guy. His ideas aren't going to work. De Blasio said it before the election. His ideas, they're not going to work.
Could you imagine if we did that? If we got on the air and just said, look, we want this politician. Mm-hmm. We just want this politician. Mm-hmm. Why? Well, because they're young and they're vibrant. Well, what about their ideas? Well, they're young, they're vibrant, and the people like the young and the vibrancy of the youth and the youngness of the vibrancy of the youngness.
If I read meteoric rise one more time, seriously, I'm glad it's not a drinking game. Number one, I don't drink. But if it were, man, I'd be blacked. I would have been on election day or the day after election last week. It would have been a blackout drunk in minutes because it was the liberal activist media made it sound like he just won everything forever. He's in control. Look, here we won. And then the Democrats going out and celebrating it. Well, you won in blue areas. But in New York City, the polls hadn't changed in a long time, in months. No. He was going to win.
Yeah. But here it is from Politico. New York Governor Kathy Hochul spent the week celebrating Mamdani's historic mayoral victory. Then on Saturday, she made clear how far she's willing to go with this progressive agenda. While she praised the Democratic Socialist who's lighting politics on fire.
Yes, there's the other one. Yeah.
Could you imagine you and I hyping up a politician that we completely disagreed with all of their basic tenets? Now, there is no politician that we agree with 100%.
Well,
now,
now, given the activist that is Mamdani, he might actually be lighting things on fire. I'm not saying he is.
But that didn't stop her from opposing his plan to make New York City buses free, questioning how he plans to fund universal child care, and saying she'll keep an eye on how Mamdani leads New York's Jewish community. Her comments delivered to reporters on the sideline of a political conference in Puerto Rico offered an early glimpse of the negotiations ahead between Albany and City Hall and the delicate balance Hochul will have to strike as she eyes re-election and a tough slate of congressional battlegrounds next year. The moderate Democrat. She's not a moderate Democrat.
Moderates?
Good God, stop it. Stop. Here we go now. The Democrat has always made clear she has political disagreements with Mamdani, even as she endorsed him over her old boss. Now that he's officially the mayor-elect, his remarks have taken on extra weight. I cannot set forth a plan right now that takes money out of a system that relies on the fares of the buses and the subways. But can we find a path to make it more affordable for people who need help? Of course we can. It all comes down from getting money from somewhere. She can't tell you what that plan should be.
No.
He can't tell you what that plan should be.
No.
Because he's been asked it.
Yep.
And he can't tell you, except that, well, you can't put the entire burden on the people of New York City. What the people of New York City want, you've also got to get from the rest of New York State.
Right. And he's got friends in Albany. And now the task is to get those friends to go against the grain of the governor, and she's going to have to cave if they're going to get it done.
And you're getting here what we've always stated. They can't borrow. The state cannot borrow like the federal government. The city can't. And so she's talking about, oh, yeah, we want child care. We want this, and we want this, and we want this. But, you know, there's some cuts or capping from the federal government. And so we need the federal government. We need the federal government. As we have stated, you look at the shutdown that has now ended, and it was on the Obamacare subsidies. And it's simply this, and not one Democrat can argue this. Not one. This is all about the fact that Democrats understand that whatever their political nirvana is for whatever geographical region they are in. They know they can't do it in the states. They know they cannot have their liberal agenda because they're not willing to pay for it.
Right.
Democrats aren't willing to pay for it. We saw it in California, Colorado, and Vermont.
Yep.
If New York, Illinois, and California want full child care 24/7 till you're 26,
Yeah.
if they want nationalized or they want government health care, they can do it in every one of their states. Why won't they do it?
Because they can't borrow, they can't stretch beyond their means, and it's politically, it wouldn't be feasible politically for them to go in and tax the daylights out of everybody in the state in order for people don't want to pay for their own health care. They don't want to pay for their own health care. That's what it comes down to.
Democrats don't want to pay for their own health care. They want their grandchildren to pay their health care. That's it. That's the end of, because in federalism, your state has the power to do so many different things.
Right. Oh, yeah.
They can do these things.
Mm-hmm.
You can provide all the child care you want, all the SNAP benefits you want, all the medical care that you want. You can live in your liberal nirvana. You just got to pay for it today.
Yep.
And you don't want that.
Nope.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it is. And because not only for the Democratic Party is that the effective part of it, there's no way to pay for it on the state level. But if they get it done like they've done a lot of things on the federal level, and you just borrow against future generations, then they keep the mindset going that, hey, we can all afford it. We're the USA. We can afford it. Well, who's we? Ask the people that haven't been born yet that are going to be burdened with this. And by the way, the storm that's coming, based on the ultra low, second in the world, lowest birth rate.
Yeah. Remember, she said last week, we've taxed the rich enough.
Yeah.
If we tax the rich, they'll move, which is why I think that's what set off that other Democrat representative that we played last week who said, but we can't be taxing New Yorkers. Mm-hmm. We need to do all this on the federal level. And we went, there you go.
Right.
They want it on the federal level because the federal government can borrow money from your grandchildren that aren't even alive yet.
Right.
And that's what Democrats, that's how they want to finance the government. They're admitting Hochul is as liberal as you can get.
Yep.
I can't tax our companies or our residents anymore. They'll move.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bill Maher got into that argument Friday night. Everybody says to me, goes, but they move. Look at all these people. Oh, okay. Well, some people move. That's the point.
Yes.
He was good in some spots, but he was really bad there on Friday night.
Well,
it's
so plain.
I played you the audio, and he reversed it like within 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, some people move.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the damn point.
And who can afford more? Who can afford to move? The rich.
Right.
Of course.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Uncompensated detention at docks frustrates drivers of all stripes. If you're an owner-operator, you have at least some control over the matter. Make the subject a standard part of your rate and/or contract negotiations on the front end. You can use your own numbers to calculate an hourly rate to compensate for lost income opportunity, as well as fixed costs, which don't stop when the truck stops. Those two elements of a fair detention rate were deemed appropriate by most of Overdrive's audience almost a decade ago. We've used income, fixed costs, and miles average of our owner-operator business services from ATBS's clients to compute an average $64 an hour detention rate then. And 10 years later, the figure is $83 an hour. Use your own numbers to calculate your rate. A simple conversation with any broker or shipper or your carrier if you're leased about what you're putting in the rate might yield results you don't expect. Owner Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We're Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. This from Just the News. The impact on electricity demand from a growing number of data centers is a recurring point of concern among energy leaders that warned that without swift policy reform, unchecked growth, think about that, such great economic growth, could drive up cost and threaten reliability. In a recent briefing hosted by nonprofit consumer watchdog, Citizens Utility Board of Illinois explored the issues facing their region. Panelists suggested potential solutions that would protect consumers and acknowledged an urgent need for coordinated action, they say, to contain cost and safeguard reliability. They noted that consumers are often unaware their electricity bills include capacity charges, payments that cover the power that they use, but also the cost of maintaining extra generation for times of peak demand. And that just goes through all the problems that they're going to have because we're going to be using so much more electricity over the next few years.
Yeah.
So, and this is mostly for their region that they're talking about in Chicago, which is the PJM region. Wow. Other measures proposed, including the implementation of reforms such as separate tariffs, the need of accurate load forecasting, and incentives for new, fast-to-build, clean energy supplies, which would be what? They don't say here.
Yeah, what does that mean? Clean energy supplies?
I'm just looking. They highlighted the battery storage as the fastest source to build. Citing analysis by Brattle, she said battery storage can be built in about 20 months or less, as opposed to a gas-fired power plant, which could take 44 to 50 months. But she added that the batteries can store power from today's resource mix to handle peak capacity needs, are just as reliable as a new gas plant. Huh?
What?
That's Clara Summers, the Consumers for a Better Grid campaign manager. She's talking battery storage for the plants, not battery storage for the grid.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure for a second.
Well, I even questioned it for the plant, I guess.
Yeah, so would I.
You know.
And she's saying a gas-fired power plant would take 44 to 50. Well, it would for the government. What would it take if you're building a new AI center? You're building along with the AI center.
Right. Well, I don't know. I think these companies, or there could be maybe third-party private sector companies that look into building these mini power plants.
We've talked about the mini nuke plants.
Yeah, the DuPont is one of the companies that is building their own little plant for their operation, their own power plant. And that comes with its own set of, I'm sure, massive regulatory hurdles. But if the answer ultimately is that, or public money has to go into it somehow and it affects the grid, well, it basically is its own small grid for their operation. And if you're looking at that, that's a much more efficient process, and they pay for it.
On our website, RedEyeRadioShow.com. Show info with stations, podcasts, and more. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. Well, Mamdani said on Friday that he's not concerned about the backlash from law enforcement following his victory last week, and reiterated his plan to have social workers carry out certain duties currently done by law enforcement.
Uh-huh.
Here we go.
That doesn't sound dangerous at all.
We've heard this before. Wasn't this all part of Defund the Police that he rejects?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
During a visit to Puerto Rico, he was asked if he was worried about the backlash from the law enforcement community. I'm not worried about it. What I'm worried about, frankly, is a continuation of a retention crisis that we've seen only deepening during the course of this campaign. He argued that the ongoing decline in police staffing is not due to his policies or rhetoric, but rather the strain placed on officers. He reiterated his plan to remove certain responsibilities from the police and transfer them to social workers through the creation of a new department of community safety.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Wow. And then they write here, Mamdani's relationship with law enforcement has been contentious throughout his campaign. He has previously called for abolishing the police and continues to push for the elimination of cashless bail, sparking concern from police unions and veterans officers. I love it. I'm not the problem at all.
Yeah.
It won't be me.
Right.
Me? No way. Wow. I think the Washington Post editorial blasted him because of his speech and then the things he's been doing already. It's like, well, this isn't who he said he was.
You know, that's the other thing, too. You mentioned that on Friday, but it really, I saw more of that over the weekend where the left is, we didn't know that's what he believed. Well, I don't support that. Yeah, you did. You knew where he was. And if on the outside chance you didn't, which again I don't believe, but if you didn't, that's on you. You're willfully ignorant. And if you live in New York City and you voted for him and you didn't know that was going to happen, well, that's what you get.
The Washington Post editorial board asserted the new era of class warfare has begun in New York City after Mayor-elect Mamdani won last week's election, criticizing what is described as his change in character since the campaign. In a Saturday editorial titled Zohran Mamdani Drops the Mask, the Post slammed the mayor-elect for his seething victory speech, arguing that Mamdani abandoned his cool disposition and showed the world what he really stands for. The subheadline warned the mayor-elect divides New Yorkers into two groups, the oppressed and the oppressors. Where have you heard that before, Eric?
Yeah.
Across 23 angry minutes laced with identity politics and seething with resentment. You know what his speech reminded me of last week? Do you remember when Obama won in 2008 and the one guy was a liberal and he called us? Was it 2008 or 2012? I think we were in the ABC
and the guy
studio.
that called us, I think we were in the new studio, so I think it was 2012.
Okay, the guy called us and said, we're not angry enough that Obama won. And you can tell he was a liberal.
Yeah, he goes, you guys are probably sore losers. And I said, you sound like a sore winner.
That's what Mamdani.
He was angry.
He reminded me of that guy that called one time who was a sore winner.
Yeah.
When Obama won his second
No, that's
term.
a great point.
They said he drops the mask and he divides New Yorkers into two groups, the oppressed and the oppressors. That's what socialists and liberals do. Across 23 angry minutes laced with identity politics and seething with resentment, Mamdani abandoned his cool disposition and made clear that his view of politics isn't about unity. It isn't about letting people build better lives for themselves. It's about identifying class enemies, from landlords who take advantage of the tenants to the bosses who exploit workers and then crushing them. The editorial board wrote his goal is not to increase wealth, but to dole it out to his favorite groups. The word growth did not appear anywhere in his speech, but Trump garnered 8 mentions.
Yeah.
Fox News Digital reached out to representatives of Mamdani for comment. According to the Post editorial, New Yorkers who rarely follow politics could understandably believe that Mamdani simply wanted to make the city more affordable and unify its residents, considering he ran an upbeat campaign with a nice guy demeanor and a perpetual smile, papering over a long history of divisive and demagogic statements. But after Mamdani gave his fiery victory speech on Tuesday, the outlet argued that interpretation became much harder. The Post pointed to the mayor-elect's comments on government as an example of one of his crass appeals to New Yorkers who are currently struggling with issues like overpriced housing. People's lives in Mamdani's world can be improved only by government. We will prove that there is no problem too large for government to solve and no concern too small for it to care about.
I see.
Every little stinking aspect of your life.
That's right.
The crowd cheered, of course. That's what idiots do.
Sure.
But a thinking person might wonder whether it's good.
That's what idiots do. I'm sorry, that's the line of the day right there.
But a thinking person might wonder whether it's good for the institution that has a monopoly on violence to insist that there is nothing beyond its purview. Whoa.
Yeah.
Mamdani's proposed rent freeze for 2 million housing units in New York City was also criticized by the Post editorial, which claimed the freeze would inevitably lead to less investments, driving up costs in the long run. Of course it will.
Yeah, right.
Wow, it's going to be fun to watch. But remember, New York, it's what you wanted.
This is it.
It's what you voted for. You said, we want this.
Yep. And here you go. You got it. You voted for it. You got it. Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
Because at some point, we mentioned that Mamdani has friends in Albany, of course. He wants to get he's going to need state taxes to be raised to pay for his agenda. And we've said, look, Governor Hochul's going to have to cave. If he's successful in getting enough state lawmakers on his side, then she's ultimately going to cave. But then everything is implemented as such, as the plan goes, and the effect is felt more and more and more. That's where these little experiments start to fail. And I don't know what the timeline is on that. I don't know how long. It depends on how aggressive they are, what they put into place. But that's a problem. We've seen major players locally as Democrats get elected, and then by the time they were done in their first term, they were not the hero any longer. But I don't know. I don't know what that timeline is for him. Maybe he gets a second term. I don't know. Can't tell you. But at some point, if implemented, these socialist and communist ideas that he has, if implemented as policy, will fail the people of New York City.
Well, we played a part of his speech the other day, and we were like, wow. Did he grab the wrong speech?
Right. Yeah.
That's how angry
you're going to go
was.
with this? Really?
It's like,
I mean, it was weird.
You won.
Yeah.
At least attempt to unite people around the BS you've been promoting by saying This will bring all people together. We will take care of everyone. But he was so angry that, and everybody noticed it. Good God. When Van Jones, because that's how we covered it, the first, I think, audio we played on it was Van Jones going, what in the heck? Because Van Jones, and it's funny because these things happen and people forget. Van Jones was considered the most radical guy inside the Obama administration.
When he was hired at CNN, it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Where is CNN going? This dude is full-on radical.
And now I listen to him, and I'm like, Eric, is he a moderate Democrat now?
Right.
What is he?
Well, it makes me wonder. You know, is he vying for a place on Brett Baer's panel? You know, as the moderate Democrat.
You mean on CBS? When they go,
I'm kidding. When Brett Baer goes to CBS. Or is he vying for a job at CBS? That's a great point. But yeah, it's it's so weird. It's been weird to me for weeks when the polls showed that the people that said they were still going to vote for him were saying Mamdani's ideas won't work. Not all of them, but it was a significant number of them, and it was in a couple of different polls. And then you had prominent Democrats come out. Look, he never really got the real endorsement of Jeffries. He didn't get the endorsement of Schumer. He got Hochul. He didn't get Obama. If Obama says this guy's too communist, everybody needs to pay attention. But they didn't. They don't care. Because it's the promise, again, of this. And remember, 75% of the voters under the age of 30 voted for him in New York City. We've talked about it. It is cyclical because it is generational. Oh, look. And yeah, they heard the word communism in school. Some of them are Marxist rank and file at that age. But they look at it and say, oh, yeah, we can do this. And it's never worked. But when you're young and stupid, that's what you go for.
But you mentioned Hochul, but with Hochul, you got somebody who was out there constantly saying, no, this guy, he's got all this energy. We think it's wonderful. We don't support anything that he wishes to do.
Right. No, I mean, that's what I've been saying for weeks. It's weird.
It's just bizarre.
It's weird. Because at some point they have to cross that threshold.
You don't hear, since he was elected, I really don't hear any cheering in the media.
No.
I'm looking here. I'm going through Real Clear Politics, looking for anything. You know, I had one thing here. What can Mamdani do? Well, the battle in the courts begins. So,
yeah.
What can he act? He can't get anything done without the state legislature, and the state legislature, not just for increasing the income tax on billionaires in New York City, but the corporate tax all across New York State to over 11%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I think the morning after the election is the last we heard of the whole rock stardom, meteoric rise thing. And it's still out there every once in a while, but it's really not any type of euphoria in a real way. And you know what I think killed it? His so-called victory speech, his angry speech, I think helped kill that. I don't think there was much to it anyway. I didn't think it had the euphoria thing didn't have any legs. I didn't think. But still, I don't think that helped. I think his speech was like, whoa, dude, tone it down. You won. Don't be so angry.
Well, are commies ever really happy?
We've been saying there's little joy on the left, very little.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I was reading thehill.com, and they were saying, Justice Barrett said, it's going to be a mess if Trump loses the tariff case to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
They've got to pay that money back. They talked about when one happened where the government had to pay stuff back in 98.
Yeah.
And I think that was the fishing boat stuff. Remember that?
Right, yeah.
That got overturned. Sorry, you can't do that kind of tax. The executive branch can't do it.
Right.
That was $170 million. That lawsuit went on for years. You're talking hundreds of billions
of dollars here.
The lawsuit's going to go on for a decade.
Oh, yeah.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.